Hello, Internet, and welcome to another Wednesday serial. This time I actually want to talk about an awesome gift I got today from SleepyReader, and that was KaijuMax. This was a very different kind of book, and I thought I'd talk about it because this is something I wouldn't have ever really thought about. So, Xander Cannon has put this crazy thing together, and this is a really weird book to kind of unravel. Kaiju Max, I mean, is about a prison with a bunch of kaiju in it, but they all have their own personalities. They kind of have a weird way of talking, like when they're chatting, it's roaring and things like that. And it sounds like it would be this very kind of kid-friendly idea, but it's not at all. And that's what makes it kind of weird tonally, because I thought this was going to be a funnier book. It was listed under like being kaiju and sci-fi and humor, and there is kind of a humor to it. Like when they start off to show that it's a prison, you see one of the monsters like pushing a building and keeps coming up, and you're like, what's going on? And you see they pull back and it's like it's a weight and he's just pushing on it, and it's funny, it's clever. But then things get weird, like you get all the weird prison stuff with like drugs and then like rape and whatnot, and it's really weird dichotomy because the art doesn't suggest that kind of edge at all, and so it's a very odd thing, as I've said. The main character, Electrogore, is this character that like grows uranium on his back, but it's kind of ends up being a female-esque character, and deals with all these crazy trials and tribulations while in prison. Eventually a really bad character, Zahn, comes in and really throws things up. But yeah, it's Electra that's really the main focus, and his thing is like he's been pulled into this prison, but he's supposed to be taking care of his kids who are on the outside, but we can't get wind or hear from them at all, and trying every little thing he can do to just reach out, make sure the kids are okay, which is such a, basic thing. And there's this little idea that's here at the very front of it where he's saying, you're the monsters, and it's this weird play on the whole idea, but you get all these crazy, colorful characters. What this book really did lack was kind of a roll call sort of page, because there's a whole bunch of, feel like lore, and it's hard to lock on and who is what character name and whatnot, especially since they're not said very often. And so that lack of a roll call kind of left me a little confused when they were talking about other characters and whatnot, because it was just kind of hard to pick up on, and I felt like I was really out of my element here, because this isn't something I know a whole lot about. The guards of this prison are humans, and they kind of have this Ultraman thing where they can jump in this suit and then they can push around the prisoners, the kaiju, but even keeping track of their names is a little hard at first. But Gupta is one of them, and he's kind of wheeling and dealing with all the inmates, kind of doing drug dealing or getting contraband in, dealing with that so that he can make up some money, so that he can deal with his gambling debts on the side. So there's that whole idea going on too. And yeah, it was just all these weird, crazy elements coming together. So overall, this is a really interesting book. It was super dense. It was kind of written much more like an older comic. It took me a while to plow through, and there was a bunch of text. It's interesting that a lot more of these writer artist books, where it's done primarily by one person, tends to be more like that. Like they're covering up more of their art, but they know it, and these comics just have more to them for that. And it's just interesting to see that kind of becoming a trend, at least in my estimation. And it's really cool to see stuff that isn't tackled too often. I mean, like kaiju and that whole idea, especially in Western comics, you don't see that sort of stuff. And prison comics have slowly kind of become a thing, but I mean, outside of this, and Bitch Planet and a couple others. There aren't too many, so it's just all this crazy ground that we just don't see covered in comics a lot. So it's just really cool to read something way different. So thanks again, Damien, and I would definitely, if you're looking for something out of the box, recommend KaijuMax, but again, totally not for kids, even though it looks like it should be, and um, be prepared to venture into some weird territory.